My name is Lysandra Calloway. I am 35 years old, and I am a single mom. I run a little flower shop in Cedar Rapids, Iowa. I love my job because flowers make people happy, and I love seeing their smiles when they leave my shop with a bouquet. But sometimes life at home is hard, especially with my family. But before I continue, hit the subscribe button and tell me where are you watching this from, and what time of day is it? One Easter, I planned a special brunch for our family. I wanted it to be a happy day where everyone could sit together, eat good food, and enjoy each other's company. I spent weeks thinking about it. I picked a nice local restaurant. I checked the menu and made sure there was something my son Alaric would like. I wanted it to be perfect. But when the day finally came, nothing went as I hoped. At the table, my sister Kathleen's kids were happily cutting into expensive $100 steaks, laughing and talking. Meanwhile, Alaric, my 10-year-old son, sat in front of an empty plate. He was waiting for food, but no one had ordered for him. I felt my Caspian tighten, my heart beating fast. I had worked so hard to make this day nice, and now my son was left hungry. I looked at my sister. She smirked. "We didn't order for him," she said as if it were funny. My dad, who was sitting at the head of the table, chuckled. "You should have packed food," he said. My mom nodded slowly, her eyes cold. Alaric looked down at his empty plate. His cheeks were red, and I could see the shame in his little face. My heart ached. I swallowed hard, trying to stay calm. "Noted," I said, forcing a small smile. The table went quiet. Every eye was on me. They were expecting me to cave in, to apologize, or to let it slide, as I always seemed to do. But I didn't. I wanted Alaric to know that he mattered and that he deserved respect. I motioned to the waiter. "Bring my son the ribeye medium rare," I said loud enough for everyone to hear. Then I looked at my dad. "You're paying for it today," I added. His grin disappeared immediately. My sister's jaw dropped, and she froze with a fork in her hand. My mom hissed softly, "Lysandra, don't make a scene." I leaned in slightly, my voice calm but firm. "If my son doesn't eat, no one eats." I pushed my chair back, took Alaric's hand, and walked out of the restaurant. I left their plates untouched. The restaurant was buzzing with whispers, but I didn't care. This wasn't just about food. It was about respect and standing up for my son. Have you ever had your family turn their backs on you? I asked myself. It was a terrible feeling, but I knew I had done the right thing. By noon that day, my inbox was overflowing with messages. People from around the city were reading my story. But the next morning, my flower shop felt quieter than usual. Word had spread that my business was struggling, and it was because of a rumor started by my sister Kathleen. She owned a boutique about a mile away from my shop, and she had been whispering lies about me, saying that I was failing as a single mom. Caspianers hesitated at my counter, looking worried. One of my regular Caspianers who came in to pick up tulips asked me, "Are you closing?" My heart sank, but I smiled and said, "We're fine," even though inside I was hurt. Kathleen's rivalry with me wasn't new. It had been going on since we were kids. Our parents always favored her. She got new dresses for school dances while I got hand-me-downs. They praised her for good grades, but my grades, which were just as good, were ignored. I remembered a family picnic where they cheered her softball hit, but completely missed celebrating my winning goal. That favoritism didn't stop as we grew older. When I had Alaric at 20, my parents said I had been reckless. But when Kathleen opened her boutique, they loaned her thousands of dollars to help her start her business. I had been paying off her debts for years, using money from my own shop to keep her boutique going. It wasn't fair, but I did it because she was family. I kept thinking, I am strong, I can handle this. But enough was enough. I sat at my desk, looking at the numbers. My shop was stretched thin. I was covering her debts while her boutique was doing well. My hands shook as I called the bank and stopped the Caspianatic payments to her account. It felt scary, but it was the right thing to do. Kathleen needed to learn to stand on her own, just as I had done. When she called, furious and demanding to know why I had stopped helping, I stayed calm. "I'm done covering for you," I said. Her voice became sharp. "You'll regret this," she warned. I didn't answer, but her words kept running through my mind. That evening, I drove to my Aunt Eulalia and Uncle Caspian's house, just 10 minutes from my flower shop. Eulalia, my mom's older sister, welcomed me with a warm hug. Caspian, her kind husband, offered me coffee. "You're doing the right thing," Eulalia said when I told her about the rumors and my decision to stop giving Kathleen money. "Kathleen has been taking advantage of you," Caspian added. "Focus on Alaric and your shop." Their support made me feel strong again. Unlike my parents, They had always noticed my strength and cheered me on when I opened my shop as a single mom. Back home, I tucked Alaric into bed. His small, trusting face reminded me why I had to fight. I held him close. "We are going to be okay," I whispered. I knew that I wasn't just fighting for money. I was fighting for our respect. I checked the books for my flower shop again. Without giving Kathleen money, I found a small surplus. It wasn't much, but it was mine. For the first time in a long time, I felt proud of myself. But something worried me. I remembered my grandmother's trust fund, which was supposed to be split equally between Kathleen and me. I wondered if she had lied about that too. Something didn't feel right. A few days later, I started looking through old boxes in the attic of my house. I wanted to see if I could find any papers about my grandmother's money. I found old bank statements, letters, and papers that were messy and faded. Nothing clearly proved that Kathleen had taken more than her share. But my gut told me she had. Suddenly, the doorbell rang. My parents were on the porch, looking angry. "You owe us $2,000 for that stunt at the restaurant," my mom said, arms crossed. My dad stood behind her, looking serious and cold. "You embarrassed us walking out," my mom said. A single mom should know better than that. Her words hurt deep inside. I thought about my divorce, raising Alaric alone, and my flower shop, which they always dismissed as a hobby. I clenched my fists, but I stayed calm. "I don't owe you anything," I said firmly. "You let my son go hungry. That's on you." "You're too sensitive," my mom scoffed. My dad finally spoke in a low, cold voice. "Pay up or we'll make this harder." My pulse raced, but I didn't back down. No, I told myself, I would not let them control me anymore. They exchanged a look, then left without another word. Their visit wasn't about money. It was about power. They had always favored Kathleen, giving her more money, praise, and opportunities while ignoring my efforts. Back in the attic, I continued sorting through the papers. Suddenly, I found a bank notice from 10 years ago. It mentioned my grandmother's trust fund and listed both our names. But the amounts were not equal. Kathleen's boutique had opened soon after the estate was settled, and no one had ever mentioned where she got the money to start her business. My gut told me that she had taken more than her share. I called my Aunt Eulalia. "Your grandmother was very clear," she said firmly. "That money was meant for both of you." Uncle Caspian added, "Check with the bank directly." Their steady support made me stronger, but I knew I needed proof. At my shop, business was still slow because of Kathleen's rumors. Caspianers were hesitant, worried about my shop. I spent hours reassuring a nervous bride that my shop was fine while thinking about the trust fund. Alaric came home from school with his backpack slumping from his shoulders. "Are we okay, Mom?" he asked softly. I hugged him tightly. "We're more than okay," I said. "I'm fighting for our respect, not just money." My mom's words echoed in my head. A single mom should know better. They always looked down on me because I raised Alaric alone. But I wasn't weak. I had built my shop, helped pay the family debts, and kept the family together. I had worked hard, and I would not let anyone, not even my parents or sister, hurt us. At the kitchen table, I stared at the bank notice again. If Kathleen had taken my share, I would find out. I wasn't going to let her win this time. That weekend, Zephyr, my best friend and a smart lawyer in Cedar Rapids, called me. "I found something," she said calmly but urgently. "Your sister forged your signature on the bank documents. She took the entire trust fund for herself." My heart dropped. The trust fund was supposed to be split equally. It was worth $50,000. Zephyr had proof, bank records, forged signatures, and dates that matched the opening of Kathleen's boutique. My Caspian act turned, but I knew I had to face her. I arranged a family meeting at my parents' house, just 10 minutes from my flower shop. Zephyr came with all the evidence. My sister sat smugly on the couch. My mom had her arms folded, and my dad leaned against the wall, looking away. "You took my share of the trust," I said calmly and firmly. I slid Zephyr's documents across the coffee table. There were bank transfers, forged signatures, and dates that matched when her boutique had started. My sister's eyes flickered, then she scoffed. "You're delusional," she snapped. "That money was mine." My mom spoke loudly, her voice sharp and strict. "Drop this, Lysandra. You're causing trouble for no reason," she said. She leaned forward in her chair, her face serious and icy. "A single mom like you should focus on keeping things steady, not chasing fights," she added. Her words hurt me deep inside. But I stayed strong. I looked at her and said, "This isn't about a fight. It's about what is rightfully mine." Zephyr, my best friend and lawyer, spoke in her calm but firm voice. "The proof is clear. Forgery is a crime. Your sister has done something wrong. My dad shifted in his seat, looking uncomfortable, but he didn't say a word. My sister stood up, her face red, her voice rising. You can't prove anything. I earned that money. But I knew she was lying. She had been living off the money that was meant for me for years. I felt angry, but I also felt determined. I left their house with my head held high, my heart pounding. I wasn't going to let them get away with this. Back at my flower shop, I worked hard. I looked at every bank statement I had. I dug through every paper I could find. Zephyr helped me check emails from the bank. After hours of looking, one email stood out. It was from my sister's accountant. It said that trust funds had been moved into her business account. My hands shook as I printed it out. This was the proof we needed. I knew my family wouldn't give up easily. My sister's boutique, just a mile away from my shop, was still doing well, even though it was running on stolen money. Meanwhile, my shop was suffering because of the lies she had spread about me. I thought of Alaric, my little boy, and how he trusted me. I wasn't just fighting for money anymore. I was fighting for what was right. Zephyr and I spent hours making a paper trail. We found invoices from my sister's boutique suppliers, all paid with the trust fund money. We also found records showing that her business didn't have any loans or investors to help it. That night, my mom called me. Her voice was soft, almost like she was begging. You're tearing this family apart, she said. Just let it go. I didn't answer. Her words reminded me of all the times she had liked my sister more than me, and how she had ignored me because I was raising Alaric alone. I felt my chest tighten. But this time their pressure wouldn't break me. The next morning, I met Zephyr at her office downtown. She spread all the documents across her desk and said, Here's what we do next. We send your sister a letter demanding your money back. If she doesn't give it to you, we take legal action. This could get messy, Zephyr warned me. I'm ready, I said, my voice firm. I thought of Alaric at Easter brunch, sitting there with an empty plate, while my sister's kids ate steak. That memory made me feel even stronger. My family thought they could make me stay quiet, but they were wrong. I had worked hard to build my life, and I wasn't going to stay quiet anymore. A week later, my flower shop was in trouble. My sister had posted online, saying I had done something wrong with my taxes. Her lies spread quickly. Caspianers started canceling their orders. A bride I had been helping for months called me, her voice shaking. She asked if my business was real. My Caspianac sank. This wasn't just gossip. This was a plan to hurt me. I called Zephyr. We have to fight this, I said, my voice tight. She arrived quickly. She checked all my tax papers carefully. Everything is correct, Zephyr said. You did nothing wrong. You're spotless. Even so, my sister's lies had already caused damage. My phone buzzed with worried messages from Caspianers. My weekly income had dropped by half. Thinking of Alaric's trusting eyes, I knew I had to protect what we had built together. Zephyr said we should find more proof of my sister's actions. I spent long nights going through old emails. Then I found one. It was from my sister to her bank, sent right after our grandmother died. In the email, she explained her plan to take the entire $50,000 trust fund and admitted she had forged my signature. My hands shook as I forwarded it to Zephyr. This is perfect, she said. It shows she lied, and it connects her to the smear campaign against you. This is the proof we've been waiting for. We met at Zephyr's office, just a mile from my shop, and put together all the proof. There were tax documents, bank statements, invoices, and that email showing her plan. Zephyr wrote a letter to my sister's lawyer, demanding she take back her lies and return the money. If she doesn't, we take it to court, Zephyr said firmly. I nodded, feeling a mix of fear and determination. This fight wasn't just about money anymore. It was about dignity. It was about standing up for what was right. That evening, my mom called again. Her voice was cold this time. You're embarrassing yourself, she said. This tax mess is your fault. I shot back. Your daughter lied. And you're defending her. She hung up. Her words, full of favoritism and hurt, echoed in my mind. My father stayed quiet as always. They had praised my sister's boutique, while calling my shop just a cute little hobby. I wasn't going to let that stop me. I was ready to fight. At work, I reassured my Caspianers that the rumors were false. One longtime client, who was ordering flowers for a funeral, hugged me gently. We know you, she said. You're honest. Her words gave me strength. Zephyr stayed late with me, checking all the financial records. We proved my sister's boutique had no legitimate funding besides the stolen trust fund. We even found another email to her accountant, confirming she had used my share to pay her debts. Each new discovery felt like another brick in the wall protecting Alaric and me. One evening, Alaric noticed I was worried. "Mom, is the shop okay?" he asked softly. I knelt beside him and smiled. "It's going to be fine," I said. And I really meant it. I thought of that Easter brunch, his empty plate, and my sister's kids eating steak. That memory fueled both my anger and my strength. I wasn't just fighting lies. I was defending our future. Zephyr warned me it could get messy. "They'll push back," she said. I knew she was right. My family had always tried to keep me small, but not anymore. 2 weeks later, their lawyer came to my flower shop in Cedar Rapids, Iowa. He held a big envelope and looked very serious. My family had filed a lawsuit, saying I stole the $50,000 trust fund. My heart raced, but I wasn't surprised. My sister had already tried to ruin my business with lies. I called Zephyr. She came quickly, ready to help. We went to her office nearby and laid out all the proof. The forged signature, bank statements, invoices, and the email showing my sister's plan. "They're bluffing," Zephyr said. "Their case won't hold up." She filed a counterclaim with all our evidence. The court hearing was in a small downtown courtroom. I sat quietly, thinking of Alaric and his empty plate at Easter brunch. I wasn't fighting for money anymore. I was fighting for us. The judge, a serious woman with gray hair, looked at all the papers. Zephyr explained how my sister had forged documents and used the trust fund to run her boutique. My family's lawyer stumbled over his words. He couldn't argue properly. My sister sat pale and quiet, unable to look at me. My mom whispered something bitterly to her, and my dad stared at the floor. The judge ruled in my favor. "The evidence of fraud is undeniable," she said firmly. I breathed out a long sigh of relief. Zephyr quietly squeezed my hand and smiled. After that, my sister's boutique, which was already struggling without the trust fund, collapsed. Suppliers stopped helping her, and her Caspianers disappeared. Word spread quickly in our small Cedar Rapids community. Everyone knew she had lied. Within weeks, she declared bankruptcy, and her store closed forever. My parents also faced consequences. Zephyr discovered that they had ignored IRS notices for years, connected to unreported income from my sister's business. The government took their house to settle the debt, leaving them with nothing but a small rented apartment. I didn't feel happy. I just felt a heavy sense of closure. That evening, driving home, I felt the weight of the trial lift from my shoulders. My flower shop had survived. Caspianers returned, happy and reassured that I had done nothing wrong. My name and my shop were finally clear. Alaric and I were safe. I had fought for justice, for our future, and I finally felt at peace. I knew that even though my family had tried to keep me small and quiet, I had stood up and protected what was mine. I had shown them that I would never back down from what was right. And from that day on, every time I looked at Alaric, I knew that he could trust me to fight for him, to fight for us, and to never give up, no matter how hard things got. A local reporter came to write a story about me. They said I was very strong for being a single mom and taking care of Alaric all by myself. I thought about Alaric playing at Aunt Eulalia's house while I was dealing with a big, scary problem. Eulalia and her husband, Caspian, had been helping me a lot. They called me every day to check how I was doing and to make sure I wasn't alone. "You did the right thing," Eulalia said when I told her the news. Her voice was calm and kind, and it made me feel brave. Caspian added, "They never knew how strong you were. Seeing you fight reminded me I'm not alone either." I smiled, feeling grateful that they were always there for me. Then my phone beeped. It was a text from my sister. The message said, "The first in weeks. You ruined us." I stared at it for a long moment. My thumb hovered over the reply button, but I didn't answer. She had made bad choices like stealing and lying, and that was why all of this trouble had happened. I decided I wouldn't give her the satisfaction of a reply. A few minutes later, my mom called. Her voice was sharp and cold. "You've destroyed this family," she said. My chest tightened, and I felt my heart hurt. But I knew I couldn't carry their anger and guilt anymore. They had always liked my sister more than me. They never really saw how hard I worked to raise Alaric on my own. This wasn't about revenge. It was about fairness and justice. The next morning, I walked into my flower shop. The smell of roses filled the air, making me feel calm and safe. A Caspianer came in to order flowers for a wedding. She smiled at me and said, "You're a fighter." I smiled back, thinking of Alaric. He was quiet, brave, and trusted me even when things were hard. I had protected our future, not just from money problems, but from a family that didn't believe in us. Winning the lawsuit wasn't just about the law. It was about finally being free from their control, their mean words, and their power over me. By summer, my shop was doing really well. People in Cedar Rapids, Iowa, had heard about my court victory, and Caspianers returned happily. I expanded the shop, adding a new wedding display room and hiring 2 part-time helpers to keep up with all the orders. For the first time, I felt independent. I wasn't worried about my sister's debts or my family's judgment anymore. I even saved enough money to start a college fund for Alaric. Walking through the shop, the smell of lilies made me feel proud. I had built this life myself. Aunt Eulalia and Uncle Caspian hosted Alaric's birthday party in their cozy home, just 10 minutes away. They hung fairy lights in the backyard, set a table with a chocolate cake, and invited all of Alaric's friends. Alaric turned 11, and his smile was brighter than I had seen in months. Eulalia pulled me aside and said, "You've given him a real home." Her eyes were soft, full of warmth. Caspian handed me a glass of lemonade. "You're stronger than they ever gave you credit for," he said. Their support reminded me what real family means. Watching Alaric laugh under the lights, I knew we had won. Not just the lawsuit, but our peace and happiness. But my sister didn't stop. She went online and said that I had tricked the court to take the $50,000 trust fund. Her words were full of anger and lies, saying I had turned everyone against her. Some people believed her, and others defended me. My Caspian act twisted, but I decided I wouldn't let her ruin my happiness again. I blocked her number, deleted her emails, and blocked her on social media. No more messages, no more drama. The moment I blocked her, I felt lighter, as if a heavy chain had been lifted off me. Then my mom started calling again, leaving sharp, mean voicemails. "You're being selfish," she said in one. "Your sister has nothing left." I deleted it without replying. My dad texted once, "Talk to us." I ignored it. For years, they had always favored my sister, belittling me for raising Alaric alone. But now, I wasn't their scapegoat anymore. Cutting them off felt final, like closing a door on years of hurt. I remembered that Easter brunch when Alaric's plate was empty, and my family laughed over steak while he quietly sat there. That memory burned in my mind, but it also made me stronger. I would never let anyone make my son feel small again. At the shop, a regular Caspianer came in to order flowers for her daughter's graduation. "You're an inspiration," she said. "Running this shop and raising your son alone." I smiled and thanked her. The support of my community, helped by the newspaper story about my court victory, made me feel proud and strong. Orders started coming in for weddings, funerals, and anniversaries. I carefully trained my new helpers, showing them how to handle every flower with care. The shop wasn't just surviving, it had become a special place in Cedar Rapids. I had earned that not because of my family, but because of my hard work and perseverance. Eulalia dropped by one afternoon with a tin of cookies. "You've cut them off," she said, knowing exactly what I had done. I nodded. "It's better this way," I said. She hugged me tightly. Later, Caspian called to check in. "You don't need their poison," he said simply. His words stayed in my mind as I locked up the shop at night. I had spent years chasing the love of people who never really saw me. Now, I was free to build a life surrounded by people who truly cared about me. My sister's online posts slowly faded. Her influence in town diminished as her boutique went bankrupt. My parents had to move into a small, rented apartment after losing their home because of money problems. I didn't feel happy about their struggles. I just felt steady and calm because I had chosen a better life for Alaric and me. He deserved a mother who could stand tall and strong, not one weighed down by guilt or family chaos. Looking at Alaric's college fund, I felt a deep sense of calm. This was our future. One evening, I sat Alaric down in our living room. The soft lamplight made everything warm and cozy. Alaric looked at me with curious eyes. "You know we've been through a lot," I began. I told him about the Easter brunch when my family ignored him, about the trust fund my sister stole, the lies she spread, and how we won the court case. His face grew serious, but he nodded. "I fought for us," I said. "Because you deserve better." Alaric hugged me tightly. "You're the best mom," he whispered. I held him close, my heart full of love. That moment reminded me why I had endured everything. His trust and his future were worth it all. Inspired by our story, I decided to start a group to help single moms in Cedar Rapids. I wanted to help women like me, who faced judgment and money problems, find courage and strength. With my best friend and lawyer, Zephira, I wrote a mission statement. We called it Roots of Resilience, named after my flower shop that had survived so much. Our first meeting had 10 women who shared their own stories of struggle and hope. I talked about leaving a toxic family behind, and they nodded, feeling encouraged. My shop became a hub for the group. I set up a small corner with flyers and a donation jar. Caspianers gave generously to help. A local cafe offered to host our fundraisers. My new helpers managed the daily orders, giving me time to lead workshops on budgeting and legal rights. One mother of 2 came up to me after a session. "You showed me I can do this," she said, her eyes shining with hope. I smiled, thinking of Alaric's pride. "This work isn't just about helping others," I told her. "It's proof that single mothers can rise above anything." Meanwhile, my sister's reputation in Cedar Rapids fell apart. Her boutique went bankrupt, and her lies about me no longer mattered. People stopped listening to her online posts, and her friends drifted away. My parents had their own problems too. After losing their house to taxes, they moved into a small apartment on the edge of town. People whispered about them in the neighborhood. I heard from Eulalia that my mom tried joining a book club, but no one welcomed her. My dad stayed quiet. I didn't feel joy in their struggles, only a calm sense of relief that I had chosen a better path. Eulalia and Caspian remained my anchors. They hosted Sunday dinners full of warmth and laughter. Alaric loved playing catch with Caspian in their backyard. "You've built a real family," Eulalia said one evening. I nodded, deeply grateful for their loyalty. They had stood by me through everything, from the trust fund battle to the court case. Their faith in me had grounded me when my parents and sister tried to tear me apart. I never unblocked my sister's number or my parents' emails. Their voices, which had once been constant in my life, were now gone. I had spent years chasing their approval, only to realize it was a trap. Cutting them off wasn't just about peace. It was about choosing Alaric and me over their toxicity. My shop's success, with its expanded display room and steady orders, proved I didn't need them. Alaric's college fund grew each month, a quiet promise of his future. Watching him read quietly on the couch, I knew I had made the right choice. As I led Roots of Resilience, I reflected on what I had learned. True strength wasn't just surviving. It was choosing yourself over people who tried to break you. My family had dismissed me as a struggling single mom and had stolen what was mine. But I had fought back, not with bitterness, but with purpose. I wanted Alaric to understand that courage means standing up even when it hurts. I wanted other single mothers to know they weren't alone. Every day, I looked at Alaric and felt proud. He had grown into a strong, happy boy because he had a mother who loved him, protected him, and never gave up. The shop flourished, the nonprofit helped women, and our life together was filled with peace, laughter, and love. We had built something beautiful from the ground up, and nothing could take it away.